And welcome in, everyone. It's time for Your Home Authority with Bryant Heating and Air. And today, a very busy day for Danny and Reggie. This is almost like a break for you guys because this weekend it's time for the Nebraska Builders Home and Garden Show out at the Lancaster Event Center. Been going on since Thursday. It continues through today and tomorrow, and it's just been nonstop for you guys out there, along with about 200 other exhibitors, 300 other exhibitors. And so far, sounds like things are going pretty well out there.
It's been great. We've had a lot of people stop by, say hi. We've had a couple people say we love your show, which is always nice to hear. And it's just been great to get out and see the people and meet them and tell them about a lot of our products that we have. But before we get into today's show a little bit, I just kind of want to talk about, it's kind of my little pet peeve. We've had some people stop by the booth and ask us for prices on furnaces, air conditionings, and those type of things. And I hate to disappoint them, but we just can't give them a price. And Reggie, why can't we give them a price?
Well, we need to do a heat loss and heat gain first in priority of the house, so we know what the correct sizing of that unit is. It's a key thing because if you put the unit in and it's too large, it's going to shorten the life expectancy of that piece of equipment. We need to do that. That has to be priority number one before the dollar amount can even be given out.
And this is one of those things, like whatever you might hear from anyone else, this is a serious step.
It's huge. I had a person stop by last night and say, hey, the guy down the aisle looked my house up on the internet and seen what my square footage was and gave me a price. Why can't you do that? And again, I explained, we have to look at insulation, we got to look at windows, we got to look at how your house sits. I said, we have to get this perfect. I says, you just don't want to live with what's installed. You want to enjoy what's installed.
There's more to it than just how big an area are we heating and cooling.
Yes, the old rule of thumb, that square footage method is out the window. And it's not appropriate for the equipment that we have today. It just is not.
And Department of Energy will agree with that statement. Consumer Reports has done a couple articles on that and said you just have to choose a contractor that does a heat loss and heat gain. And that's one of the great things about this radio show is we can get out there and we can help educate the public on this.
Yeah, and it's something that fortunately with Bryant, that's not something you have to ask for. It's just we do this. This is how it's done. But if you do decide to do business with someone else, make sure you do your due diligence and make sure that you are getting the right equipment for your home. Because, like you said, you get the wrong thing in there, and it could end up being actually a cost to you in the end.
Yeah, we even actually had one of our past shows, a caller stopped by and said hi, and they've another company's come out and they've worked on it and they've got it, and her words were, well, it's bearable now. And and that's not what you want to hear from a homeowner that spent how many thousands of dollars, and it's bearable. It needs to be something that
we want to hear. Oh, I feel so much better. It feels so comfortable. I don't even think about it. It just feels great. That's what you want to hear.
That's what we're trying to do every day. And I just wanted to talk about it because it is disappointing in today's technology that people just aren't doing it.
402-489-1240 is our number if you have a question for Danny and Reggie. And today we're going to talk a little bit about new construction. A lot of people, especially when you go out to the home and garden show, the builder show, everything you need really to put together the home of your dreams is out there, and everyone you need to talk to, including the gentleman, the people from Bryant, about your HVAC system, electrical, plumbing. They can help you with that, all of that as well. This is the time when a lot of people start really thinking about it. And so we wanted to kind of hit on that today, especially with it being the weekend of the show, and just kind of go over a few different things. And I know there's some questions that you guys wanted to kind of hit on because there are things that you hear a lot of when people come in to build a new home. And the first one, of course, that heat loss, heat gain, that's step one.
Well, even worse than what they should ask before. Unfortunately, sometimes we get into that position 3, 4, 5 years down the road that, again, you hear this word, well, I've kind of tolerated it. I'm no longer going to tolerate it. I need to get this fixed because I need to enjoy my home. So if we take some of these steps up front, we don't get into that position down the road.
Well, and that goes to show, again, why it's so important to have the correct sizing, period.
it's huge. We talk about it and we talk about it, but it's the most critical thing. And then next up, whether after getting the right equipment sized, it's getting your ductwork sized properly.
Mm-hmm.
Most equipment does not work properly because ductwork is not sized properly inside the house.
Now, that's a question I guess a lot of people probably don't even realize, because how many people actually looked at their ductwork? I know I haven't for the last 4 years, and it took having a gentleman from Bryant to come out and go, oh, we need to replace this. In fact, that was you, Reggie.
Yes.
And so it's just there. I mean, people just assume it's there. Are there things that people need to look for, or is it just a matter of having someone from Bryant come out and just take a look?
Well, if you walk into a house and if you walk into a basement and it's unfinished, and if you see 6-inch pipe ran all through the whole house, I'd be real leery of what was done with that house and how they size the heat runs in each one of those rooms. Because there could be rooms that are undersized. Because there's a lot of times you'll have a 6-inch run that you have to have 100 CFM in there, or if you need over that, you may have to have 2 heat runs in that same room to compensate for the amount of glass that's in that room. For me, truly as a salesman and a sales manager, I need to know what my builder is doing. So when we do that heat loss and heat gain, so you can get the correct size piece of equipment, so then your ductwork and everything is sized properly to make sure you get the proper airflow through that house.
Talk about flex piping. What is that, and is it a good or bad thing?
Flex is not good. If you take a 6-inch piece of pipe, you can get around 100 CFM out of that, cubic feet per minute. Mm-hmm. That's the airflow. If you take a piece of flex, you're around 65 to 70.
Oh, substantially less.
And if you have to use a ductulator to actually figure that stuff out. And if a guy doesn't do that and he just puts it in thinking, oh, I can put a piece of 6-inch flex in for a 6-inch piece of pipe, that's not necessarily true. Because you're restricting the amount of airflow that you can get through there. Flex, if it's not stretched out, it's terrible. And the ribs on the inside still give you a friction on the inside. It dissipates the amount of airflow that you can get at the end when it comes out of that register.
Be honest with me, Reggie. Does my house have flex pipe?
Yes, it does.
What's the other thing that can happen if you have flex pipe, Chris?
Well, I tell you what can happen is that flex inside there can get all bunched up at one end or another, and all of a sudden your duct is kinked and you're not getting any airflow. That's what happened to me.
Yes.
That's what happened to me. So what is the other option besides flex pipe?
Actually, rigid pipe is the best route to go. And then use rapid wraparound on the outside of that pipe. We put R8. That's the code that we have to go by now, especially if it's in an unconditioned space. Mm-hmm. Down in a conditioned space, you don't have to have any insulation around on the outside of it. The key thing is making sure that your heat runs, you try to keep as least amount of elbows in it that you can up in there. It costs a little more to do that, but I guarantee you it'll increase the airflow coming into those rooms.
Again, with new construction, I mean, you're starting at square one. You might as well do everything right, do it right the first time.
That is
so
correct.
You're comfortable in that home, because who knows, you might be in that for the rest of your life. That might be your home until the end of days. I mean, that's what your goal should be.
Well, at the end of the day, that's what you're paying for. You're paying for that comfort. You're not paying for you're not paying for it to endure. And so many times that does happen.
402-489-1240 is our number. We're going to take a quick break. We'll continue to talk more about your HVA system in a new home, and we'll see what else we can kind of sneak in here up by until 11:30. And don't forget to check out the Bryant booth over at the Home and Builders Show at the Lancaster Event Center, going on today until 8 and then 10 until 5 tomorrow. More of the show coming up right after this. We're back on the show, Your Home Authority with Bryant Heating and Air. And yes, you can find the Bryant booth over at the Home and Garden Show at the Lancaster Event Center, again until 8 o'clock today and then 10 until 5 tomorrow. Greg Sharp is actually there. He's testing people's knowledge, it sounds like.
He's there right now. He's playing a little Husker trivia. He's got a lot of cool prizes to give away. He even has Husker tickets to the basketball game.
Ooh, very nice. So you get some instantaneous winnage possibly. So go check that out. Now, I assume you guys are probably in Pavilion 1, the big area.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I figured. We're in the Amy one, the one next door. The KF4 booth.
Okay.
We got put on the side. I don't know what the deal is. Apparently, you don't think of KF4 when you think building a home. I don't know. Well, we are talking about home building and how important it is to have that heat loss, heat gain analysis done on a home. Talking about the proper ductwork that you should have installed in there as well. But I guess when it comes to that heat loss, heat gain, when you have the builder, I guess first off, when you choose a builder, they may have suggestions of who to work with doing all of the other work, but ultimately it comes down to the person's decision who is having the home built. So if they suggest company A and you go, you know what, I'd like to go with Bryant, that's their decision. They can make that choice.
Yes, they can. They could pick and choose who they'd like to have do that heating or air conditioning system inside their house if they would like. Usually a builder, he will have somebody that he works with. Just to be very honest, a lot of times low dollar is not necessarily always the best route to go, just to be honest about it.
You get what you pay for.
Yeah, that's correct. And it can come back to haunt you depending on what that is. And the thing of it is, you might want to ask for a duct layout before anybody comes out. They shouldn't be, from my point of view, you should not be allowing the installer to be actually sizing all the ductwork and everything. We draw everything out on a plan that the builder gives us. We size all the heat runs for in the rooms and where the cold air returns are supposed to go. And we also make sure where all the dryer vents and everything go. So everything, when the installer goes out to do this out on a job site, he's not having to sit out there and try to figure out in the cold or in 100-degree heat whether or not where this has got to go or where that's got to go, and maybe get sloppy with it sometimes. Because if they put in everything the way we've had it drawn out on the plan, it will work inside that house.
And it's important too to talk to that contractor and the installer and figure out the warranty deals.
That is key. How warranties are going to be handled after the fact. I've had a lot of people, they just say, hey, I've called and I can't get anybody there. It's a real key component to make sure that you can get a hold of them.
And the other issue with warranties is, they may not have 24/7, 365-day service. It may just be Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 to address any issues that may come up. So that's also a factor in that people should be aware of.
Yeah, we always stress when we're talking about new construction, this is your dream home. This is the home that you want. When you buy a home that's already built, you get what it is, and that's the way it goes. But when you are building your own home and working with the builder and working with these different installers, you are putting together what you want for a home. You want it to be done right. You want it to be done so when it's complete, you feel like I got the best house I could possibly ask for.
That's exactly right. You want that house. You want to be cool in the summer. You want to be warm. You want no hot spots. You want no cool spots. And if you don't get those things right in that initial stages, unfortunately, when you to go back and fix some of those things, you're probably looking at maybe sometimes 3 to 5 to 10 times the cost just to get those issues addressed. And a couple dollars up front will save you lots of years of agony and a lot of dollars at the end of that 5 years.
Well, one topic we've covered in the past is zoning for multi-level homes versus having two systems. And when you are constructing a new home, I'm sure that just makes it a little bit easier to have the right system installed rather than trying to convert something that's already in place. So it's good to kind of talk about, well, what do you want? How do you want to control things?
That is very key. A lot of times, to be very honest about it, heating and air conditioning is kind of out of sight, out of mind.
Oh, absolutely.
Everybody's worried about the cabinets, they're worried about the trim, they're worried about the paint and everything that goes inside the house. The key thing though is if you're going to have one system in that house, and you need to ask your builder if he's going to have one system in there. If he is, and that's the way his heating contractor is going to do it, you need to ask about zoning because that second floor, it will be 7 to 10 degrees warmer on the second floor. Zoning will help eliminate that, so you can have a control up on the second floor, one on the first floor, and control those temperatures very readily.
When it comes to the size of the home, because you could have the zoning maybe a two-system home, at what point on average, now this might be a tough question to answer, but when do you get to the point where you may want to consider a two-system home? That might be a more viable option.
It depends on if your size of equipment, say that the main unit you get too large and it just can't handle that. Then it would be good to turn over and go into two systems. The thing I like about zoning compared to having two systems, that means you have to have a fan coil or a furnace up on that second floor. The evaporator coil during the cooling season, it does have water that has to come out and has to drain away.
Sure.
With the zoning system, I don't have to worry about any water leaks on the second floor. It just doesn't happen, and ceilings getting getting water soaked and stained. It's just a win-win situation for homeowners to use zoning up on that second floor if they can.
And of course, with that comes the thermostat.
Yes,
And the type of thermostat you want.
Yeah, and if you like the programmable thermostats, on zoning you can have a thermostat on the second floor and also one on the first floor as if you had a second unit up there. But it's just a win-win situation for homeowners to have zoning in that house.
I still can't get over how you can have a thermostat you can control from your cell phone. That still gets to me.
Well, and we're going to get to the point where you're going to be able to control zoning or different zones, whatnot. You'll be able to control everything from your phone. It's kind of the analogy. HVAC is coming into the analogy. When you walk into your house, you don't have one switch for all your lights. So you shouldn't have necessarily one thermostat for your whole house too. Mm-hmm. So we are in that age. It's becoming affordable. Technology is fantastic, and it just works great.
402-489-1240 is our number if you have a question. If you would much rather maybe chat with the Bryant gentleman face-to-face, head on out to the Nebraska Builders Home and Garden Show going on today until 8, and then tomorrow 10 until 5. Of course, they will be there for every hour of the show. So if you have any questions that you'd really like to figure out, if you're thinking about building that new home, or perhaps you're just thinking about taking care of what you already have in your current home, they'd be more than happy to help you out. We're going to take a final break. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit about geothermal and maybe some tax credits that you could possibly get. That's coming up next. Stay close. Final segment of the show, Your Home Authority with Bryant Heating and Air, as we talk about new home construction and the Home and Garden Show. Go check out the Bryant booth. But before we get into anything else, Danny, we have a very, very important matter we need to discuss.
Yep. I promised my son I would mention this. He at Sterling, Nebraska, at the Sterling Public School, they're having a Pinewood Derby race. The PAC 326 went out and purchased a new track and trying to purchase a new track so that maybe someday they can do the districts. And they're having an open class of racing next Sunday, the 17th, for $20. If you think you have the fastest car, you can come race and prove it. We got trophies. The kids are pretty excited. They just love the new track. Of course, I don't know if the boys or the dads love it more.
I was going to say, who's more excited about this?
Probably the dads, because I think that's why we're having the open class, so the dads can get a chance to race each other. But for $20, if you think you have the fastest car, come down to Sterling, Nebraska. The registration is 1 to 145, and if you've got the fastest car, you'll walk away with that trophy to prove it.
Very, very cool stuff. Well, I'm sure we'll talk about that again next week, too, just to remind people about it, because it sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Yep. Sounds like a lot of fun.
We're getting them cars built.
There you go. Well, they are. Until then, this weekend, the Home and Garden Show continuing on at the Lancaster Event Center. The gentlemen from Bryant are there. One of the topics we've covered in the past when it comes to energy for the home is the geothermal, and there are tax credits out there, and I guess there are some tax credits for new construction.
Yes, there is. And whether you do air-to-air heat pumps or air conditioners, LES's rebates are here. The main thing is on geothermal. I would advise anybody that's putting in a new house or going to have a new house built, ask your builder to give you a price on a geothermal heat pump, because you can get a 30% tax credit over the complete installation of that piece of equipment. It's a major savings for the homeowner, and it's down the road. It's going to be, you have a unit that'll last you 25 to 30 years instead of maybe 20 years. And the savings is just insurmountable amount of money that you're going to save. You're going to, if you could save $1,500 a year on your heating and cooling costs, I'm not too sure that too many people would do that.
I don't think too many people just bat an eye at that.
Yes.
That's a pretty impressive savings. Well, of course, if you have any questions, and even if it's as simple as heating up a sunroom with a mini split, if you'd like to check one out, you can see it at the Home and Builder Show at the Bryant booth. If you have any questions about your current construction, your current house, your HVAC, this would be a great time to ask the guys at Bryant. If you're looking at building a new home, get your questions answered. Again, all day today until 8, 10 till 5 tomorrow. And then next week, when we come in,
we're going to have a gentleman from our electrical department come in, and we're going to talk about lighting solutions.
A lot of cool things in the world of lighting. I've noticed that myself just walking through hardware stores. There's a lot of neat things you could be doing. So we'll talk about that next week. Until then, I guess we'll see you
Sounds
guys
great.
at the Home and Builder Show.
Yep, we're headed right back out there, so
Yes.
please stop and say hi.
Well, I'll be right on your heels. So we'll all enjoy ourselves there at the Lancaster Event Center. We look forward to seeing you there, and tune in next week for Your Home Authority with Bryant Heating and Air on KFOR 1240.